The title of my speech today is called The Misunderstanding of Civic Engagement in Today's Youth. So, what is civic engagement? As defined by Thomas Ehrlich in a New York Times article posted in 2000, civic engagement means working to make a difference in the civic life of our communities and developing the combination of knowledge, skills, values, and motivation to make that difference. It means promoting the quality of life in a community through both political and non-political processes. It's very important that we catch that last part through political and non-political processes. It seems as we as a generation, and by that generation I mean Generation Z, have forgotten that civic engagement could also be done through a non-political process. Generation Z, or Gen Z, is the most radical and politically active group of our time. The constant nationwide protests and the many different extremist groups and beliefs on both sides, it seems as if they have all this energy to want to make a difference in the world and want to benefit the society. In an article written by NPR, I quote, "Researchers say that the 2022 election had the highest voter turnout amongst voters under 30 in at least the past 3 decades. So far, the highest turnout during a midterm for this voting bloc is 2018, which was 31% of young people who are eligible to vote. So that means in the last 3 decades, the last two most voter turnouts in the young people have been the last 2 elections, 2018 and 2022. So we can see that there is a growing motivation inside the young generation to be more civically and socially engaged, to vote, to spread awareness, to protest. We see it happening all around us. However, a highly forgotten and highly effective civic engagement by our generation that I like to discuss is not voting, not protesting, not even volunteering, but simply getting a job or entering the workforce, especially from a young age. I know, it sounds a bit silly. I mean, everyone is aware of how beneficial getting a job is, right? Well, let's see the numbers. So this graph represents different age groups and their percent of employment what percentage of these are in the workforce. The blue represents the age group 16 to 24, and we see there's a steady incline from the year 2009, and in 2019, when the Gen Z has reached about the working age, which is about 14 to 16, we see a steady drop, or we see a decline. And you can make the argument that in 2020 there was a pandemic, a lot of jobs were lost, but I'd argue that that won't be the case because we see another drop in 2021, where we know jobs are steadily on an increase. And another thing I'd like to point out is that the age group 55 and over is at the same exact employment rate as those 16 to 24. So there is no reason that in the age group 55 and over and those of Gen Z age to be employed at the same rate. These positions are open, and the young and capable should fulfill these roles, not those who are of retirement age. We should care for our elders and not force them into taking jobs the young people refuse to take. In order to improve a society and improve how society functions, we must first learn to do the very basics which our ancestors have done for generations, and that is entering the workforce from a young age, which I believe varies by state, but it is around 14 to 16 years old. It benefits the community by first improving its economy. Getting a job from a young age teaches many beneficial qualities, which can then be used to apply to more common civic engagements such as voting, protesting, etc. My generation has forgotten that their decisions have an impact on everyone around them, and I don't think we realize just how much we can contribute to society simply by entering the workforce. It is shown in a survey by Pew Research that 70% of Gen Zers look to the government to solve their problems, instead of taking it upon themselves to try and improve the economy by working and serving the community, making the basic good decisions. I believe the reason my generation doesn't get taken seriously is because we haven't proven to others that we are responsible. I remember my first job at Subway when I was 16, I was asked to work alone for 5 hours and close the store all by myself, which at the time gave me anxiety because what if I forget to do something or lock something or leave something unlocked? And that's exactly what I did. One time I left the front door to the store unlocked, and luckily nothing happened, but my manager had some words to say, and that's an experience that I learned from, and I learned to be more responsible. And there are many more reasons for the younger generation to enter the workforce. To quickly list them all, taken from an article written by Angus White called "Should Teenagers work during the school year, the benefits of working during adolescence are well established. A job can help teenagers develop a sense of responsibility, a greater sense of self, learn to manage and appreciate the value of hard-earned money, and give them an idea of what adulthood might be like. These are all things which, when developed from a young age, can make us more responsible and make us make better decisions when voting and protesting, which are the more common forms of civic engagement. The one downside, which arguably isn't even a downside, is that working from a young age, especially while you're still in school, can add unneeded stress to an individual. However, I'd argue that stress is a good thing, because in an article written by Valencia Higuera from Healthline, shows that stress increases function and it makes you a tough cookie, as she puts it. As you confront different situations and overcome various problems, you train yourself to deal with similar incidents in the future. Again, this adds to my point that the only negative side effects to getting a job from a young age is that it can bring a lot of stress to a person, which can be seen. If the stress is handled properly, it is beneficial to that person. So in conclusion, there are many forms of civic engagements, such as voting, protesting, volunteering, getting involved in neighborhood activities, fundraisers, and many more. But as I have shown, the most overall beneficial for every individual and for a community is if the younger generation enters the workforce.